Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my session. So today we are going to talk about enable cross-regional growth. So I'm going to share some UA success cases and best practices, especially with hyper-casual and hybrid casual games. So I'm Yolanda, the Director of Client Growth from Nativex, Germany. So in this session, you're going to find out more about our real success cases, interesting proven facts, which is usually not openly available elsewhere. Not all the tips are going to be written here on the slide. So in case you miss any important information, please do not hesitate to just raise your questions either here in the chat box. I'm going to attend to the questions along the way. Or just feel free to scan the QR code on the screen to add me on LinkedIn. I will answer questions there as well. Again, thank you very much for spending the next 30 minutes together with me. So let's get the real thing started. When we talk about UA, what are we talking about? So starting from the point that we have the product, of course, we want to define who we are reaching out to and the platforms we could reach out to those audiences and the features available on those platforms. So in short, we talk about targeting and algorithms. And how we communicate with these audiences to give them the top motivation to say, download the game, stay in the game, and even make a purchase as soon as possible. So from the UA perspective, this how, meaning messaging and creatives. And that's not all. So once we deliver the messaging through the platforms to our audiences, how did everything work? How can I identify the results and the next steps in the best effortless way? So that gives visualization and intelligence. So around those topics, the market can have actually piles of books for every and each topic listed here. But would those cheat sheets be enough? Answer would be no. UA is dynamic. And as it is dynamic, so is everything interrelated. So let's start again from the very beginning. Now we have a title on hand. Yeah. As most of us here are experiencing, the titles themselves, they're ever evolving. So 4 weeks ago, I was attending the offline edition of the same conference in Istanbul. I joined a panel with a few other very experienced industry professionals talking about the transition trends from hyper-casual gameplay to hybrid casual. The changes are happening every day. But if we do take a look a little bit deeper into the topic, what is changing from hyper to hybrid? The gameplay is different, first thing first, right? Mid-core-like progressions are being included to return valuable users. So the retention rate becomes higher. And if the users start to stay and make it a habit, the revenues are going to increase, both in terms of IAA, like in-app advertisement that users, players are watching more, or in terms of IAP, which was not available with the hyper-casual titles. So when the ROI is higher, that would allow us more room for user acquisition. So we could actually aim for higher CPIs. And that doesn't limit us anymore to certain selected ad networks anymore. So maybe we could try the slightly more expensive traffic, for example, Facebook or Google or TikTok. We may even have the luck where branding makes sense again. So with higher returns and longer game cycles, influencers start to make sense, right? Hashtag challenges start to make sense. So now we have this title, which can go on to, let's say, just all the traffic platforms possible. Yeah, let's just assume that. Then what would be the next step? I'd like to show you, unfortunately, not the real videos, but 3 screenshots of the ad copies. The first one on the left, being a playable ads. The second is a sitcom UGC. And then the third one is a UE4 ads. And this would be a question for you. Which would work better? So think about it. I'm sure you all have the questions in your mind and you might all have it right because my question could not really be answered. Which of the creators could work better? Where? And towards whom, right? If the titles are changing and the in-game performance data all changes, so the audiences, the platforms, the working creators on the specific platforms, they are all going to change. To give an example of all major platforms available, globally, this could be a cheat sheet. So there are global ones like Meta, like Google, like TikTok. By the way, this is all the platforms that we carry. There are closed ecosystem media as well in countries like, for example, Japan, Korea, or Brazil, Indonesia, and China, where people have their own social platforms. And there are the programmatic platforms. So let's assume that we are already set with the platform, right? We know that we are going to use, let's say, TikTok now for global user acquisition, and Kwai, for example, for Brazil. The next question would be, is there a one-size-fits-all creative? Again, let me show you some examples. So we all still remember the old times, right? In 2020, a one design fits all mobile game advertising strategies could still work, where we focus on showing the gameplay with a well-designed call to action button, like the one shown on the left. So we all saw those kind of ad copies, and that worked really well. And that was already not the case in 2021, or let's say that's already not the trend in 2021. When all the brands started to tell a story to create the emotional engagements with their potential clients, to trigger their motivation of downloads, okay? So to set up a scene. And now in 2022, such emotional engagements evolved even further to the style of an interpersonal user-to-user communication style, hence the UGC creators. So now you might say, okay, I understand that the styles and the trends change with time, but is there a one-fits-all approach at least? So we're all in luck, thank God. The answer would be yes. And what are some of the tips? So I'm not going to list down all the tips here, but this is it might be good to take some notes here. So number one, creative tips. Make it eye-catching. So imagine what could catch our own eyes. So it could be something fancy, fabulous, looks good, or it could be something extremely weird, even horrifying. It could be a strong conflict, or something very unlikely to happen in real life. It could be anything, basically, that arouses our interests, our curiosity to find out what happens the next. And number two, I would say, create tension. So I already mentioned about strong conflicts just now. That's actually already tension. And tension could be that, let's say, a bottle is being smashed on the floor at the right beginning of the video. So what happens next? Yeah, why is this bottle being smashed? Why are they so angry? It could be a decent lady getting badly dumped by her ridiculous boyfriend. You want to know what's the next? What is she going to do? It could be a murder scene. Yeah, I know this sounds, it could sound over the top, but we did it for one of the clients, and it turned out to work extremely well. Or it could be simple contrasts. let's say a really good one in gameplay in parallel with a bad one on the same screen, who doesn't win at all. Yeah, that's contrast. That's tension. And it could be repeating successes or failures in the game. That's also tension. So that's about tension. And number 3, we already sort of mentioned this point in the previous slides, but I can elaborate a little bit more here. Include human touch. So sometimes I do receive questions from clients that, do we have to connect with individual creators to come up with the UGC ads? Like, it's relatively more work than just 2D editing, for example. I totally agree with that, because a couple of creatives could be easy, but if you really want to have steady creative feeds from UGC content, that takes a team for it. So, but the thing we need to consider is that, what do we really want from the UGC content? It's the human touch, right? So how about we include the human touch in another way? Let's say, how about we run a voiceover ad, and where the gameplay instructions can be narrated in a voiceover to enhance the game storytelling element, human touch. And then what we are visualizing is the gameplay. So we stayed a little bit longer on this slide. And now I would like to give a short summary of what we just talked about. Number 1, make it eye-catching. Number 2, create tensions. And number 3, include human touch. All right. So after showcasing the market trend and giving all the tips, does that mean showcasing gameplay, this type of creative, no longer works? I wouldn't say so, right? We would never, I would say never, have the misunderstanding that only one way could work. So especially, we were not even defining where we observed the trend shifting from gameplay re-editing to storytelling elements, creators, and then to the UGC content. So when we look at any trend in the global market, we are really easily tricked by that from the tier 1 countries, especially with the dominating ad spend and revenue sizes. But does that mean we don't make money from the other regions, from APAC, from LATAM, even from Africa? The answer would be no, right? We could still make good profit from, let's say, Brazil. And believe it or not, this gameplay re-editing style still really work really well in LATAM. For example, the ad copy shown on the left of this page. And now the question comes again. Which of the creators on the right of the slide works the best in East Asia? So as in Japan and Korea. And the other for US and Europe. I'm sure you'll see the difference. You all have the answers. Okay, now, since we all thought about the question regarding Japan and Korea, we have to talk about localization as well. Everybody knows that localization is important. But what exactly is localization? The market has already shifted from simple words translations of the same ad copies to knowingly add a bit of culturalization into the thoughts. So the question we are going to answer is that, what is culturalization? Can we share some tips? So it's note-taking time again. So what is culturalization? Is it finding a local actor, even with some subtle, cute accent from the local region, to repeat the same sales pitch? Or is it to add some local trendy topics or social buzzwords into the existing sales pitch? Or do we need to revamp the sales pitch completely? So we've seen this type of ads, like we all seen this type of ads that let's say if you pay, telling the gamers that if you pay a relatively small amount of money for the first time, so make your first purchase, and then you're going to receive a gift pack much higher in value prepare for you. So suddenly your role in the game becomes like unbeatable, the strongest, you get everything you want, you be the top in the game. So this used to and now still work in some of the geos, especially in the Western culture, but never in Japan. In Japan, advertisers could still drive first-time purchaser, right? First-time in-game purchase, by showcasing in the similar way, like the value of the gift pack, for example, but their motivation will not be you right away become the strongest and the best in the game. So there are subtle differences of what is catchy in different cultures for them in the first 3 to 5 seconds, or even sometimes because of the daily lifestyle pacing and everything, it impacts the duration of this catchy moment. In some cultures, it could be the first 1 to 3 seconds, and then they are just not patient anymore to continue, right? So, so there's the difference, what is catchy, and what benefits in the end are attractive towards different cultures. And that I would say is the next step, or it's how we're dealing with culturalization. And now we finally launched the creatives, taking into consideration of everything we just talked about. Platform, geo, genre, localization, audience, creative formats, and storytelling angles, and everything with them. Can we just keep them running and expect that, they're just driving revenues from now on? No, right? Everybody knows no. But there are different ways of looking at it. Different creative format, first thing first, may work better with different stages of your own game. So feel free to take a screenshot of this. This is our experience with different type of titles in different phases. And that's not the end of the story. It's not only your life cycle of the game itself. It's the iterations as well. Yeah. So how many creators would I need for each and every stage shown in the last slide? Ad fatigue is a real thing. I just had a question from a client earlier this week asking me, okay, so why are you pausing these 2 creative sets for me? Because it generates really good results for us. Historical average CPA is only like at the range of $15. So we let him take a deeper look, a closer look into the weekly performance breakdown. I'm realizing that the CPA associated with these creatives for the latest week was actually $60. And luckily, the spend was also just $60, right? So you see the CPA was going up by 4 times, but scale was dramatically down as well. So that's the time we need to change it. That's the end of it. So whereas we're used to SDK networks, for example, typically update every 2 weeks, top media channels, like social channels, usually would need a weekly renewal of creative sets to ensure that your content remains fresh and engaging to your users. So best practices now, if you take TikTok, for example, for a decent testing budget, so one that would allow proper learning and optimization, we'd recommend at least 5 to 8 sets of creatives per week. And you should have more if you're running with a bigger budget. So 5 to 8 sets of creatives per week. especially if we compare it to, what we were used to with affiliate networks, CPI buys, or SDK networks, this is a significant amount. Do we ever run out of ideas? Here we summarized some of the common challenges that our partners are usually facing. So in terms of making the UA work, ranging from, say, adapting to the latest trends, to keep ourselves updated with the latest features from the platforms, especially the new ones, the local ones, to the deep understandings in the local cultures, defining user behaviors and tastes in those local cultures, or even, let's say, the team is aware of everything as the marketing team. We know how to make things work. We might still suffer from limited human resources to make all these things happen. And sometimes it involves compliance with different local platform policies as well. And luckily, we could always leverage help. So help here, this is not my sales pitch, right? So help here, I don't really only refer to leveraging help from me, despite I'd love to do so. But leveraging help from somebody who gives you the local understandings, the tricks to engage with the audience and the ideas. Who would that be? Influencers and creators, yeah. So influencers are not necessarily expensive. Of course, the top ones would be from the least budget, let's say. At least we could get very culturalized UGC videos to serve the creative needs. And when the game is healthily making positive profits, and when we start to have more budget, there are more cool things to play around with. So when coming to influencer campaigns at scale, I'd like to showcase some data, some success cases from us, so you have an idea of what level of achievement can be associated with larger scale of influencer campaigns. So number one, organic installs can be boosted. So in this case, it's 20%, together with the increment in brand exposure. So one thing to note here is that this 12% is not the uplift as compared to before. Yeah, this is the extra than the client's expectation, which was already a very, very good KPI, but like very good result to achieve. So we can't really disclose how much in the end it is, but it's just even exceeding the expectation. So that's for organic installs. Number two, UGC contents. So we run this hashtag challenge for a client on Kwai in Brazil. So Kwai is a short video platform similar to the style of TikTok, but it has a good audience base in Brazil. And this title got 450K UGC videos. So 450,000. Imagine how long it would take your in-house team to basically go out, contact each and every influencers, like smaller influencers, to chat, hey, would you like to make a video for us? And the beauty is, you right away after this campaign, you know already which of these videos are performing organically, pure organically, and which are not. And you're full of ideas what to do. So again, this is another hashtag challenge, but this time on TikTok. So this generated 27K UGC videos, 56 million views, and this would make it more than 8.2% engagement rate. So the average, according to open data sources, it's a little bit more than 6%. So it's above the organic rate through the campaign. So those are some success cases that how and where we cross-source creative ideas. If we can't cross-source, yeah. So if, let's say, for example, the minimum budget of such kind of idea cross-sourcing is still too high, what can we do? we can always leverage help from an agency like us. So this is our dedicated solution for very performance-oriented creatives. So we can always, if you are interested to find out more, especially for similar genres and what kind of performance we could achieve, welcome to always connect after the session. So, okay, anything missing so far? Let's revisit our structure, yeah? When we talk about UA, we talked about targeting algorithms, we talked about messaging and creatives, and last but not least, visualization and intelligence, especially if, let's say, we are testing water in a new market with a new platform, and this is not yet to be integrated with our internal BI. Or let's say we are a small team. We are not planning for internal BI, we just want to use the service to increase the efficiency of UA work. Here's what we can do. This is XMP. This is our one-stop platform, connected with most of the platforms we just shared in the previous slides, to increase the UA efficiency, to basically make everybody's life easier. So here is a success story of how we help the client to increase both the ad spend and the ROI by improving UA efficiencies, working efficiencies through XMP. So for those of you who are interested to find out more, just feel free to let me know afterwards. Now, we are coming to the end of this presentation. It's finally my time to talk a little bit more about us. So I try not to do this part earlier because I want to squeeze as much information, tips as possible for you into the session to make this knowledge sharing fruitful as possible, hopefully. So this is us. We are Nativex. We are the global digital marketing expert. We are the global official partner of all major marketing platforms, including global platforms listed here. You see Meta, Google, Twitter, TikTok, Kwai, and there are other local ones as well. Let's say in Japan, Korea, Brazil, MENA, and basically everything in China. So we've been around for more than 10 years, delivering services ranging from traffic sources to creators and to intelligent campaign tools to boost both performance and scales for our clients' campaigns. We have now over 200 people in 17 offices, so delivering data-driven and performance-oriented services with our global industry and local expertise. So I'd like to call it an end of today's presentation. I hope we still have time for Q&A, or the Q&A session went well. If not, feel free to scan the QR code in the middle of the slide. Just add me on LinkedIn. This is going to direct you to my LinkedIn page. I'm going to attend to all the questions there as well. So thank you all so much to spend this time with me. Have a nice day, and wish you a huge success and ROIs in 2023. Bye-bye.